Right, here we are then, the other side of the studio. It's World Cup time, of course, as well. Ian Irving, our World Cup guru, is with us as well. Hi Ian, morning.
Morning, how are you?
Is it a good morning?
It's an okay morning, I'd say, I think.
Yeah, it's not as good as it could have been though, is it really?
No, it's not the end of the world though.
No.
America are probably better than a lot of people gave them credit for. I'm now clutching at straws desperately, of course, because we drew. But we made a fantastic start, fast out the block. Steven Gerrard scored after less than 5 minutes, and it all looked like it was going to go so well. But as is always the way with England, there has to be some sort of calamitous moment, and we talked about it.
This is what we said, wasn't it? We'd have to have a bit of drama at the beginning. We also both predicted a very, very tight scoreline. We wanted it, obviously, to go England's way.
Of course, yeah.
But it was very, very tight. And of course, a lot's been made of Robert Green. We were talking about goalkeepers, weren't we, as well on Friday? Yeah. And I said, if you do make any kind of blunder as a goalkeeper, then you really did carry the can, and the press have really come down like a ton of bricks on Robert Green.
Yeah, well, we've seen with the stories that we're just looking at there, delving into his private life, calling him putter fingers and all this sort of stuff. And are we really that interested?
I tell you what, though, Robert Green, we know I'm not a great sports fan or follower, but Robert Green I hadn't heard of last week. And now he's your number one man. He's the man that... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in terms of profile, there's no reason why he couldn't go on to be a kind of Beckham, Rooney type figure in terms of profile, simply because of this one thing. Because remember, Beckham made some huge gaffes in the past, didn't he? And look where he is now. So it can really turn the fortunes around for a player, can't it?
It can do. It depends whether he's given the opportunity to turn it around. So obviously it's a decision now that Fabio Capello will have to make. There was a lot of speculation before the first match as to who would be in net. Of course, David James and Joe Hart, who were on the bench, who both really had a great case to be named as the number one. So
yeah, David James has come out in the press, hasn't he? I heard an interview with him this morning, and you can hear in the resonance of what he's saying that he's really quite not overly happy at not being that first choice.
Yeah, well, I think in a way David James was expected to be the first choice, purely based on experience. Has been to World Cups before, but he should know more than anyone else what costly errors can do. He used to be called Calamity James. That was his nickname because he made so many mistakes earlier on in his career. Now he has sort of curbed that a little bit, and he's been a lot more consistent sort of later on. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if we did see David James in net for the next England match.
Do we send Robert Green to the World Cup too early, do you think? Did he have that experience? Yeah,
I mean, he's played a few internationals before for England, and to be fair, he has played well. He's not made anything like those sort of errors, but it just shows what pressure can do. Perhaps the fact that there was so much tension and build-up as to who would be in net. Fabio Capello supposedly only tells his players 2 hours before kick-off who's going to play.
That's something I wanted to say to you as well, is that that kind of engages the whole team. I mean, normally we would know sort of the day before, or sort of a lot further in advance.
He doesn't really give much away at all, Fabio Capello.
It's literally as they get on the bus to go to the ground, I understand. That's when they find out who's in and who's not.
I mean, the media and public and so on don't usually hear till probably about an hour before kick-off when the team sheets are handed over and so on. But I don't think it's that unusual for players to know sort of midweek or a few days before what the team's going to be, or at least be given a pretty decent indication. But Fabio Capello likes to do it this way. Now,
is that good for the players, do you think?
I don't know. I'm not going to criticise Capello at all, because I think he's doing a fantastic job as England manager, and he's got an unbelievable track record. However, is Robert Green's mistake evidence that perhaps he should have been named number one earlier on in the week? He'd got used to that idea. He'd got the support of his manager. He's got the support of his players, and he just feels that bit more confident and comfortable in the situation. Whereas 2 hours before kick-off, right, you're my man. Oh really? Hang on a minute, and then he makes such an error. Having said that, as a professional footballer, he's been named in England's World Cup squad. He shouldn't be making errors like that, really.
Time of his life as well, I imagine. Right, well, that's what's gone. We know what's been. We're not too downhearted. I think a lot of people had a great party. There was a great coming together of a lot of people. It's nice to have that collective cause, if you like, and that really galvanised the country. So that's good news. Okay, we didn't get the win. It's a draw. It's not a loss. we've still got time to recover that. But it does now put the pressure on for Friday, doesn't it? Because we have to win now, don't we, against Algeria?
Yeah, I would say so. Algeria do as well, of course, because they were beaten by Slovenia in their first game. However, we've said about the USA being no mugs. They're 14th in the world, we're 8th in the world. I dread to think where Slovenia and Algeria are, to be honest. They'll be a lot lower down. So if England are going to do anything in this tournament, then they should be brushing aside no disrespect to either side, but they should be brushing aside teams like Algeria and Slovenia, no problem. Having said that, you just never know, do you?
No. I mean, it's been very unpredictable so far.
Yeah.
It's been interesting how the Americans reported our match on Saturday. I think we've got the front page of the New York Post that we can have a look there. USA wins 1-1. Now that's an interesting slant, is it? The headline there, greatest tie against the British since Bunker Hill.
I don't know how they can say that. They beat us in the World Cup in the 50s.
Very bizarre, isn't it? There's the front page of the Daily News there. Gift goal gives US underdogs stunning tie versus England. It's funny, isn't it?
We feel like it's a defeat.
Yeah, just how slanted that reporting can be. Yeah. Now, listen, England aren't the only side taking part in the competition. So, what are the highlights, do you think, for this week? Because of course it carries on in earnest.
Well, I'd say, obviously, looking back at the results that we've had so far, it's not really set alight yet. I've been obviously an interested watcher, but
let's have a look at the results. We've got the results so far on screen for you.
There's not really been any standout games. The result to stand out was undoubtedly Germany last night, who played fantastically well against Australia. Australia did have 10
real
men,
drubbing, that wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's the lesser of two evils, is it? I don't know, Germany or Australia for us in England.
Who knows?
Very difficult.
Who knows? It's like America. It's another unpredictable, really, isn't it? South Africa, Mexico, the first match. That was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people felt that Mexico almost kind of took half a step back and almost didn't want to humiliate the South Africans.
Yeah, I think South Africa are the lowest ranked hosts ever going into a tournament. So obviously the pressure's on them because they are the host nation. However, they did play pretty well. Mexico perhaps didn't play as well as they could have done and got a late goal to equalise 1-1. But that Group A is wide open. France, of course, drew 0-0 with Uruguay as well. In Group B, Argentina, who many people are tipping to have a good tournament, Diego Maradona in charge, they scraped past Nigeria really 1-0. And it was a goal from a corner, which is not really Argentina's trademark as such.
Yeah.
But that group again, South Korea beat Greece 2-0. They played pretty well, but I don't think Greece are really that great. They didn't really show much over the 90 minutes in that game. It's been interesting to see how that pans out. I would expect probably Argentina and South Korea to progress from that group, and that's two wins, a win for either side so far.
Yeah.
England's group, of course, we've mentioned, and then in Group D, the Germany group, and Ghana got a great result against Serbia, 1-0, which it's a difficult group to call that, really. Of course, England will play whoever qualifies in that group. If we go through, if we're first, we play second. If we're second, we'll play first. So there's every chance we could play Germany in the last 16, which would be very interesting.
It would indeed,
depending on
wouldn't
how it goes, yeah.
Should we have a look at the fixtures then for this week, starting with today? We've got Holland versus Denmark.
Yeah, that's Holland again. A lot of people have tipped to do well. Of course, Italy.
Two very strong teams there.
Yeah, I'd have thought that Holland would probably come out on top in that game. Just about Japan, Cameroon, difficult one to call, really. But Italy as well, the world champions, of course. They're starting today as well. Not perhaps got as good a chance as last time. A lot of ageing legs in that side. Of course, though they've won things in the past. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Sometimes experience does come through against other teams, but they're not the side that they once were, I don't think. Looking ahead further, tomorrow we've got Ivory Coast and Portugal, which promises to be a fantastic game. Two very strong sides going up against each other, and then of course Brazil against North Korea. Which will be very interesting to see how good North Korea are, really.
Just aside from the fixtures for now, now what are these trumpets called again?
Vuvuzelas.
Now these are causing quite a lot of controversy. They're even thinking of potentially banning them for the grounds. Now these are traditional, aren't they, in South Africa? But I have to say, I listened to one of the matches in the car, and literally it's like being in a huge jam jar full of bees, isn't it? It's just the most incredible drone.
I think it's brilliant. I really do, and I love the fact it's really annoying people as well.
I think it adds to it, doesn't it? In some way, it's very, very different. It shows the spirit there, doesn't it?
Yeah. If you want to take the World Cup around the world, then you have to embrace these sort of things. It's not for us to tell people what the traditions are.
Apparently, though, they're keeping the French team awake. Did I hear?
Oh, are they?
Somewhere, yeah. Apparently,
that's an excuse because they drew the first game. Come on.
So it's causing some. I think we should have one in the studio. Can you buy them here in the UK?
I would imagine you can get hold of them, especially now.
I bet someone's rattling them out like shelling peas at the moment, trying to get them sold. Ian, we're out of time already. Come back on Friday, and unfortunately, it'll be just before. The England, it's Friday night, isn't it, the England game? And I will definitely watch the England game right the way through. I've booked my seat on next door's couch on Friday night to watch that one.
Great stuff, yeah. And we can preview that, we can have a look, see what the reaction is and see what the build-up's like.
And we're going to go for a massive win for that one, aren't we?
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Ian, thank you as always. We'll see you again on Friday.